Fast Forward Productions. The women are speaking.
Gab, for those who are listening at home and not watching this on YouTube, will you set the scene?
Well, I don't need to set the sound scene because you can hear it in the background already. But picture this. You're driving in a Maserati, listening to the sound of Samantha Valentine and Gabrielle Vinlas's voice as you go through the terrain of the Arizona state. To the right and left of you is nothing but dirt and mountains. You're seeing a 2-lane road in front of you, an orange truck, and you are on your way to do a presentation to a bunch of actors about how to make money and also be an actor.
Thank you so much for coming to this soundscape. This has been a lovely podcast. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the One Broke Actors podcast, an honest account of actor life plus a few lessons in the process. I am your host, Sam Valentine, and this is the co-owner of the membership and one of my bestest friends, Gabrielle Vinlas. Hi.
Hi.
We are currently driving to the Southwestern Actors Conference, and we are 2 hours left on a 6-hour road trip, and we have never hung out not at each other's houses before.
That's right.
So this is next level friendship stuff.
Yeah, because we're inside of a car driving. And I have anxiety about driving because obviously being Black in America is one thing, but also this is a new place. And what really gets me is when I don't know where we're going and what could be happening. And then, you know, control is a big thing. So we're not in a car that I'm familiar with. We're in a Maserati, which sounds ironic that I would rather be in my Volkswagen Atlas. But it's all new, fresh things. And then you're stuck with somebody in a car the entire time. Like, what if we didn't like the same snacks? What if we didn't like the same music? Which is ironic. You're good with whatever music.
Yep, we've barely played music.
That's true.
We've been working the whole time.
That's true. We have worked the whole time, whether it was discussing work or talking about work or doing work.
And that's why I said, let's turn on the podcast, because we started talking about a topic and I thought this is perfect to record because we've been working a bunch of stuff for Side Hustle Academy. And at the same time, we've been talking so much about acting and how they intertwine. While at the same time navigating going to this conference, I have auditions coming in. You're navigating being out of town, so we'll have to self-tape whenever you get something because you know it's inevitable. You know at the end of the day today you're going to have something
At the end of the day today, there's going to be something in my inbox.
If not 2 or 3.
And if it's not going to be that for the acting side of things, it's going to be a veil check, or it's going to be me recording on the millions of cameras that we've brought for B-roll for other things that we needed for.
Yeah, we do have there's a lot of things going on. But the topic before that we were hitting on was about there are so many simple things that we take for granted now in acting. For example, the fact that we can just do this and know that when a self-tape comes in, we'll be able to handle it is not something that I would have been able to handle earlier in my acting career. Or stuff like the intricacies of when you get a self-tape audition and there's like 17 pages of examples of how to do your goddamn slate. And you know it's because people really fucked it up before. And so they're just trying to give you every possible piece of information. But what happens is it just inundates people instead of giving them more availability to read the directions. But that's fine. To each his own. We were talking about how certain little aspects of it we know not important. It's just something casting wrote in there to perhaps make our lives easier. So for example, we were talking about how actors will panic sometimes like, oh, I have to do this full body shot. I say, great, here's exactly how I do it. I'll link it below in the show notes for you guys. And exactly how I do it. And they say, oh, that's not what it says though. In the directions it says walk backwards into the shot. And we both know they don't want to see you walk backwards. What they're trying to do is make it easier for you to get one big wide shot and then come back to center. But actors will panic because it's not exactly the direction. And as we've done this for so fucking long now, we know that that's not actually what casting cares about. And those are the little things that you forget remove some of the stress of this business from yourself when you're not brand new anymore.
The walking backwards is tricky because
it sounds so stupid.
It sounds stupid, but I mean, for everybody that's listening, you know, obviously you're taping your self-tape from the chest up framing, right? And so they're assuming that if you're in chest up framing, you could simply just walk backwards a couple steps and now we could get more of your full body, which you can understand why that would seem easy if you were in take a step back because you literally only have enough space to get your chest up framing. And so the fix here, as we both know because we've been doing this for over a decade, is to take a full body picture and edit it into your video, which is what Sam has posted a million times, and it's always accessible. And a lot of it I think comes from the fact that you're scared about doing something wrong and being blacklisted in the entire industry. Which, here's what I want to tell you about that. It's cute that you think people care about you that much. They really don't.
Nobody cares.
I have actually heard casting directors say they're not going to blacklist you unless if you do something that is actually legitimately hurtful to them or their people, or you're talking about outrageous things like maybe you're racist or maybe you're homophobic. Yes, of course you're going to get blacklisted from doing something like that.
Yeah.
But not walking backwards in your self-tape. And so I think a lot of the stuff when you are starting out as an actor comes from a place of fear, because we are all at the end of the day just wanting to get it right. That way they look at our audition and they either want us for this or they want us for something else. And the privilege that you and I now have after over a decade is we have perspective, which we've learned that not everything is so fragile. And if you come from a space of fear in this entire realm of being an actor, you're never actually going to progress or evolve, because you're just making steps out of being scared of doing the wrong thing. And there's no playbook in this industry on what is right or wrong. So you don't actually know where to go. You end up staying in one spot, which is why we said, let's open up the camera and start recording.
Yes. Pieces of that fear mentality can really stick with you long term. For an example, last night, we were getting ready to go to bed. You and your husband are staying at my house. We ditched our husbands together and we're like, peace out, have a good time. By the way, they're probably having more fun than us.
Oh yeah, I got a selfie from Corey with the sweat dripping down his face saying, 3-6 Mafia is playing in the background. I'm working out. I'm having a great time. So confirmed.
Fabulous. I can't wait for you to move to LA. The time has come. I just needed to get your husband here, and now I shall have you. Think of the things we could get done. So we were getting ready to go to bed, and we knew we were going to get up early, get ready, and leave on this trip. I got an email from my commercial agent that said, hey, here's an in-person audition for tomorrow at 3 o'clock. It is literally almost that time right now. I would be going to that audition right now, and I knew it wasn't possible for us to get to this conference and do that. Have I booked out? Yeah, like 6 months ago. I barely remember doing it. But also, the fear dust that remains in the corners of my brain was like, oh no, this is a national commercial. I'm going to miss it. Definite lack. I'm going to upset my agent that I can't go to this opportunity. Is there another way I can make this work? And you said, oh, I'm so sorry. Is there anything we can do? And I said, no, we'll just wait. And you said, okay, great. If they can't make it work for you in a self-tape or a Zoom, that means it wasn't meant for you anyway. And that is coming from not a place of lack.
Yeah.
And that is something that I'm still dusting those fear dust bunnies out of the corner sometimes. And it's hard to do when people who suck in this business leave big, hard fear footprints in your fucking brain.
Yeah. You've also had some success with national commercials in this past year. So I think what happened there is you had gotten to a great place of not being so attached to commercials, because Sam had been in like 5 or 6 commercials that she either got cut out of or they ended up not going national, even though she thought they were going to. So she had kind of like put commercials to the side, because obviously she's like, every single time I do something, it turns out a different way, so I'm not as attached to them.
Yeah.
But recently, the past year, she's had 2 SAG national bookings, which has been fantastic, and also supplied a totally different lifestyle for her in terms of money, yes, but also security and being able to be seen by more eyes. And so that has created, I think, a new level of potential fear for you, because you're now so much more aware of what
the potential
could be.
Yeah.
And so it ups it for you of like, oh crap, am I going to miss out on this opportunity? For somebody like me, I have booked a bajillion commercials, lots of them being national. I know that they come and go no matter what. I also have a different mindset that I've worked really hard on of you can't miss anything that's not yours already. So what I had told Sam was like, oh, well, if they can't rearrange it, it was never your commercial to begin with anyways, because if it was your commercial, it would be rearranged and you would get it. And there's also a world in the same space of where you're worried about missing the commercial, not getting something or messing up people. There's the opposite of that world where the reason why you missed this commercial was because the commercial already knew it wasn't for you. And so it's just literally passing you by like another train at the station that you just happen to be at, but you're getting on the train that's after it. And I think that is hard, because when you get a little taste of what it could look like, you obviously want it again.
Of course.
Which is why we're creating, Side Hustle Academy, which we'll talk about later, but because we have to get rid of some of this feeling of I need stability from my acting career, because there is now going to be even more time where things change. This whole industry looks very different.
Yeah.
AI, VR, really changing things up. I'm hesitant to say there was never consistency to begin with, and any type of consistency that you might have thought was consistency is now out the window.
Oh my God, yes. And it's funny how much nobody got into this business. Well, nobody will admit out loud they got into this business for money. Everyone who listens to this podcast, I know you because I am you, and we were like, We love the art of acting. We love the work. And also, once you've had something like a national commercial, you're like, oh, whoa, wait a second. I took a nap today and I woke up and there's $7,000 in my bank account. Excuse me? That's possible? And money is freedom. And the freedom that you receive from not having to be beholden to jobs and things like that and bookings and whatever is coming next is very alluring. And once you've tasted it, it's like, well, where do I go back to get more? Yeah. And seeing a potential. By the way, welcome to the true desert. Now you have cacti all around you.
I was just looking at that. I was like, wow, there's cacti. There's cacti everywhere. Look, I've never had to question that because there ain't no cat over here in Georgia.
Tis cacti across the board. Very good succulents for the desert life.
Lots of succulents out here.
But when we talk about new level, new devil type of situations of like leveling up problems, is once you've realized the potential, it's hard to not even consider it when it comes to something. But I can't imagine what this would feel like of leaving a national commercial. Not that it was mine. By the way, if you booked Papa John's, call me. I want to hear all about it. I hope it was one of my listeners. That's all I want.
That would be fantastic.
If you just recently booked Papa John's and you auditioned in Santa Monica, I'm so proud of you.
Oh my God.
Shoot me a DM because I want to know that this is you.
And that would really just plug the story even better of like, it was never meant to be yours in the first place. Like that would really be awesome.
Because whoever got it is like, I needed to buy this surgery for my dog, or I want to pay off my car. Like somebody else, it's meant for someone else, because quite frankly, we are doing very well financially. And why do I feel like scared to say that out loud? Because we hate when women are successful.
People are going to come for you.
Yeah.
Because you know people are going to come for you because one, you started a career off of one broke actress and people felt like you had to be broke for the rest of your life.
They do hate that. They hate successful.
That. And people also want the starving artist to be their MO.
Why do we want the artists to be so starving?
I don't know. I think it's, you know what, I do understand a bit of it because so much of this career is narcissistic that I think that saying that you are making money off of this career makes people feel like you are less humble because they don't get to see all of the work that we do. They just see audition. Wow, you booked. Now you have all this money. Oh my God, must be nice. They're not seeing the endless classes that you've been in, the multiple times you've paid money to be able to coach, and all the other stuff that goes into the bachelor's degree that you got while they were getting a degree in business and now they were already making six figures. They're just seeing the end of the journey and thinking, okay, weren't you just complaining last year about not having money because you were on a strike and now you're making all of this money? And I honestly would love to try to like change that whole storyline of actors not talking about the amount of money that they make. Like it shouldn't be so faux pas because I do think a lot more people would find hope in it than the people that wouldn't, because they would be like, so there is money to be had. There is a way to do this. That doesn't mean I have to eat ramen for the rest of my life or have a private chef. Like there's an in-between.
And I don't know why we don't, well, I can tell you why we don't see more of it for several reasons, but we talk, so in TM, in the membership that we run together, it's a big thing we've talked about people sharing their contracts and talking about pay rates and things like that, because people talking in a room about how much they're getting paid for things are huge. Like for example, we had a member recently who posted that she booked a project and they asked her if she would come to callbacks and be the chemistry reader for all of the other people who were auditioning for the other role she was playing opposite of. So I was like, hold on a second. So you're going to give them a whole day of your acting work, like 10 to 20 people, and you're going to read with them. I was like, so just so you know, you should get paid for that. And I think you should talk to your agent about it. And I don't know, I'm not sure if she took me up on it because there's also a lack mentality in asking for money.
Yes.
But regardless, that's something you should be paid for.
Yeah.
And because you know how much a wardrobe fitting is worth.
Yes.
Like it's there is value in the corners that we're not even looking into because we're like, oh, thank God, a chance to do my work. And I'm like, and also somebody has money.
Definitely.
If a project is being made, there is money. And I'm not saying you have to ask for $5,000 in green M&Ms in your trailer, but you can get paid for the day you work callbacks for them.
Yeah, especially because this person had very emotional scenes. She worked her ass off, and trigger warning, there's some DV scenes in there, I'm pretty sure. There's some essay scenes in there. So she was really having to do a lot of up and down of mental gymnastics. And so that obviously needs to be paid for. But that type of a conversation, while it seems so small and nuanced, doesn't even happen if you don't have a place to be able to discuss money anyways.
Yes.
Because that just flies underneath the radar because you're like, oh, it's not a big giant paycheck. I shouldn't even ask anybody about it. But in TM, we are so open. We're sharing contracts. We're looking over them with each other. We're also being able to compare rates of what we've made versus what somebody else is being made. And that kind of stuff, when you have the right type of community, isn't seen as something that's competition. It's seen as people either learning from it or other people being able to use what they've learned to help. And I know for me, a lot of the things that I have been on, / I also have tried to put out into the universe of manifesting to be on sets where there's learnings, because I know a lot of actors wouldn't stand up for what they deserve, and I will. So let me do it, and then I can bring it to you. We can discuss it openly with finances so you can see an example of how to do it. And I hope that more actors that are like us, that have been doing this for a while, start to be more open about these types of topics, because I think that that's how we can grow. And that's how the next time that we have a contract renewal, we can all be so much more in the know and have understood what we're fighting for, versus it being so much of like, yeah, I think I'm a part of this union and I don't really know what's happening, but something's going on.
Yes.
Like, we can really make a bigger difference if we can help each other collectively and stop making it this hush-hush conversation about money, you're not supposed to talk about it thing.
Yes. And I get that people need a certain barrier to entry to open up. I get that there is a comfort level that not everyone has. But that's literally why we build the membership. It's because we recognize that while we created these communities on Instagram where I'm like, I haven't booked anything in 3 years, let me tell you about it. And I'm comfortable doing that, but that took a shitload of work for me to be able to say that out loud. Nor do I think everyone should be saying it, because like, I get it. There are other things you can celebrate that I want you to highlight. Finding your safe space to do it in. We literally have a channel called Safe Space where actors can complain or be sad or add like emotional baggage. It's an emotional baggage dump as you need it to drop things. And you can say whether or not you want coaching and thoughts around it, or whether you need support, or if you just want to say it to not be alone. And those types of conversations, whether they're about money or about the fact that your parents don't support your acting career or something like that, having a safe space where you get to see the faces of the people you're talking to is just, I mean, I can't imagine how it would have changed my acting career for like the little shit we're talking about, of like walk backwards into your self-tape, to like these conversations about money and worth. Yeah, I was just thinking, like, if we could go back, like if I was a listener right now hearing this podcast the first time, maybe I just started acting this year, or oh gosh, even worse, which I really feel for you if this is you. I started right before the pandemic. Yeah, those actors that started right before the pandemic, made it through, was like, okay, here we go, we're gonna pick up, and then went right into a strike, and then now we're in this clusterfuck of a year. If we could go back right before the strike portion, which I know if you get asked all the time, it's like, what would you tell your younger self? I'm not saying that. What would be some of the things that we have perspective-wise, like the extra notes on a slate are just to be able to help you get what they're looking for, but you can also do this one thing, take a picture and edit it in, and that works for all slates. What are some other overall arching things that we could probably just pop in here for people to be able to like write down and be like, oh, really? That's what that meant, so I can do that. Oh, I've got one. Oh, yes. When it says, do not use props or props not allowed, guys, you can absolutely use props. Here's my favorite way to use them, out of camera. So you will make sure that your chest to top of head or top of shoulders to top of head, and whatever you're doing, maybe it's folding towels, is happening underneath the frame. So you mindfully can still have them, which can be very helpful, especially when you're a new actor, because it can get you out of your mind and into your body. So now you're doing something and you're not so focused on the lines, and it's not happening on camera. And you're constantly like, well, it says no props. I don't want to use the props. There's a telephone on it. You can still use it. If it makes sense in the scene, you can use it. It's about not making the prop the star of the scene. You're still the star. So a way to use a phone would be to either make sure you take your distracting case off of it, turn your phone completely off, that way it's not like lighting up and not lighting up, and then put it up to your ear and have the conversation. Make sure you're still cheating your eye lines towards camera, directly off to the right. You're not talking down to the floor or up to the sky. You're not using the camera in front of your face to block it. Pro tip right here, have your reader call you and you take the call on speakerphone. Transition it to speakerphone. Now my entire face is opened up while I'm having the conversation. Now that's something I wish I had known when I read no props and I had an audition that involved a phone. Yeah. Oh, that's so good and tangible. Okay. I want to think of one. You did audition, so let me think of a different. Give me another category. What about an on-set one? An on-set one. Ooh, I'm trying to think of like my first times on set. I made such a big deal and I sucked a lot of my own energy out because I didn't want anyone to think it was my first time on set.
Oh, that's
So
a good one.
I pretended to know what everything they were talking about was.
Sam.
Like they were like, oh, B cam and back to one and things that I had maybe heard in passing on like bad student films and things like that. But there were so many pieces of sign out with the PA and things like little things that I was like,
yeah, they're going to come to your door to tell you it's ready to go.
Yes.
You're waiting in your trailer, just waiting, staring at yourself.
Oh my God, and they knock you
right.
like, huh!
Just in case they call. right.
Oh God, and I know that it sounds so silly now because there are so many resources, but we didn't have them.
First of all, there's not so many resources that are in one place, which I'm going to go ahead and plug here. Shameless plug. We'll drop a link for you to be able to digitally download it for a super cheap price. Sam has an online dictionary for everything that you need to know for being on set, behind the camera, and everything.
The actor dictionary.
It's actually it's one of the resources we have for the membership for free. So if you're in there, you're listening to this, you know you already have it in there. Or maybe you're going to join the membership. Hold off because we'll be opening our doors soon. Yeah. We'll drop the wait list as well. That way you can sign up for it because it'll only be open to the wait list. And
I think the week after this airs, we're going to have a new September class.
Oh, wow. So you're probably already ready for that. But what I'm trying to say is if the membership is not your jam or maybe something you don't really looking for right now, but this sounds good, we'll have the link down there so you can get a digital download. That's all you need before you get to set. And honestly, it's even more than what you need. You could still show up to set. The main things you need to know is how to step on your mark and not miss it, because that is a big deal. A lot of times with green actors, we get nervous, right? And we're not sure. We can't see what's front, back, side to side. And that little speck on the floor is very, very small because they are doing a wide shot and they want to make sure that they don't get the speck on the floor and you miss it every single time. So you do need to know how to step on your mark. You also need to know that they are going to tell you every single place to go. So you don't have to worry about controlling it at all.
Yes. If it's a set you're being paid decently for.
Yes. You will have a handler.
Walk you everywhere. And I wish that I would have said, this is actually my first time on this style of set. They don't have to know that it's your first TV or commercial. They don't have to know it's your first anything. But you can say, this is my first on this style of set. And actors would have been so excited to have been the me for me. Yes. They would have been so excited to like take me around. I mean, you know, you get a bad apple here and there, but on the whole, they would have loved the opportunity to have been the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
And to have shown me around.
Because you just said it like so easy, because I just thought about this. I didn't know when I first started showing up to set that was possibly an actor as well. I assumed somebody who was showing me around, a PA, was like creme de la creme. Like I was so small pickings. And oftentimes people that are PAs on set are often actors or they're directors in the making. They're doing the same thing that we're doing. They're also trying to do their very best work so it can get noticed and they can move up in the ranks. So they can see eye to eye of like, oh, wow, let me help you out because it's also going to help them out. They got the actor exactly where they needed to be. So that, and then also understanding that the call sheet does not have to be sent until 12 hours before. I got booked. It's going to be within 2 weeks. I got to keep my phone near me at all times because I might be needed today.
I would panic, especially because if I had a 10 a.m. call time the night before at like 6 p.m., I would think like, oh my God, I haven't gotten the call sheet yet. Like, what if they forget to send it to me? And I would call my agents and text them, and they said they'll send it. And one time I did get one with like an 8-hour notice. Okay. But we knew that they were in between episodes, and like it was going to be, they were like back
one
to back.
time and all the times.
But it's always going to come late the night before because there's so many other moving parts. And if I would have said, this is my first booking, I'm a little nervous, people would have handled that so well. I was already on the set. I didn't have to pretend to be something I wasn't.
Pretend to be something else. You were already there.
I learned so much more. And I think I lost out on a lot of money because I didn't understand where the cameras were and where my face was. I was cut out of a car commercial. I didn't turn my head, and this would have been on me. Yes, they said, Sam, at this time, pass the basket across the picnic table, whatever. But if I would have just put the basket in front of me instead of to the left of me because the camera was on the right side of my head, if I would have turned, that was on me to do. I could have done it sooner and I wouldn't have been cut out of that national commercial. But I was, and so you couldn't see my face, so they paid me my day rate and they didn't have to pay me.
They didn't have to pay, and they were like, yes, we don't have to pay her.
Exactly.
We saved a bunch of money.
And whether or not they did it on purpose on set, I don't know, but there was like 3 or 4 of us who were principal, and I ended up right behind the main spokesperson, and I turned to pass something, and I got cut out. And so because of that, I lost out on so much money because I didn't understand that a lot of the times there is only a few shots, especially if there's a spokesperson, they're going to go like 180 degrees around that person, and they're going to move on very quickly because it's very expensive. And I missed out on money because I thought that there would be more to it than a setup or two. And I just was turned the whole time, and I didn't know, and I lost out on money.
How would you tell an actor now in that scenario be able to communicate?
No matter what, I would have my shoulders to camera.
Shoulders to camera the whole time.
It's like
shoulders to camera. Yep. Okay.
It's if your shoulders are like your headlights, the tops of your shoulders are your headlights, I would keep my headlights pointed to camera. I remember when I shot Bosch, I had a scene where the guy had to grab me by my neck, and he asked before we walked through it, and like, what are you comfortable with? What works for you with the director and everybody? And I said, you can put it wherever you want, but don't block camera. And everyone on set laughed, and I turned and I said, I've been cut out a lot of shit, guys. I learned that lesson. And so instead of grabbing me by the face, he grabbed by the neck, which ended up looking cooler.
It did look way cooler.
And then it didn't block camera, and then they got the perfect shot, and it's such a good piece of my reel because I micromanaged the situation, and that is something that is really hard to do if you don't feel supported in your acting career.
So the good fix there is to make sure your shoulders are cheated towards camera. If you do, especially like on a commercial set, sometimes it can be a little bit easier to speak up because everybody's just there for that one day. It doesn't feel like you're walking into something new. If you feel comfortable, you can always ask the PA that you've been walked onto set with if
What does
they're nearby.
PA stand for? What are you talking about?
What does PA stand for?
Production assistant.
I was going to say personal assistant.
Yep, another type of PA.
Okay. Production assistant. There you go. Good job. See, there you go. How many years have I been doing this?
So you just say PA, you forget.
I've just said PA. There we go. That's a great way to be able to showcase to you guys. But if you're feeling comfortable on the commercial set, you can always ask the production assistant that walked you on, hey, can you tell me what the framing is for camera? You can do that. You can ask makeup, especially because they've just looked at camera and they've just made sure, they just saw that there's a blemish and they walked over to you. Hey, what's the camera framing? You can ask them. Sometimes they'll even take a picture and show it to you because they're taking it for their own. So there's a couple other people you can ask without having to like look to cam and be like, excuse me, what's the framing? Because I get that can be hard. I actually, this is a fun story on that one, had somebody look out for me on Doom Patrol. You can see it, I think it's actually in my reel now, where I like recognize this superhero. I have a whole damsel in distress moment because that sounds just like Gabrielle Binloss, a damsel in distress. And the actor walks past my left shoulder, right? He like walks past me. He's like, you can call me whatever, and walks past. I continue to keep my head straight, like 4, 5, 6 takes of this. I was just like, okay, he walks past. It's his camera. The camera was on him. They already got my footage of it, so I just stayed straight. One of the camera offs, bless this man, literally said, hey, when he walks past you, look over your left shoulder. And I literally said back, oh, but it's not my shot. And his exact words were, it's always your shot. Turn to cam.
Oh, that's so good.
I
love this person.
Saved me. And what cut did they use? They ended it on my face and not his face. And he's the lead of the show. Literally says, oh, you can call me whatever. Walks past me. That scene ends with me looking over my left shoulder, astonished that I was just saved by this heroic man in the moment. That's how you know I'm a really good actor. Anyways.
But the brilliant thing is you didn't take away from the lead.
Totally.
And there's such a line of serving the story and serving the characters who are the originals on the call sheet. But also, it was something your character would do. It made sense for the story. You were astonished by this person. It only made them more interesting because it was the look of the person who was impressed by them.
They got the reaction from me to be able to build up how important that character was.
Yes.
Versus me looking over my shoulder and being like, oh, this would have been it. Tearing up because he saved my life when it did not need that. That's because it wasn't about me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Because it wasn't about you, it was about them.
Yes.
If you can do that without adding a line, without making it about you, without coming back and making your emotions internal, that is huge.
That's huge. Let's do one more little bit.
One more takeaway?
One more takeaway.
Okay.
We did an audition one. We did an on-set one.
Let's do you have something about like speaking with agents or something like that?
You are in my brain.
Of course I am.
It's like we've been in the car already for 4.5 hours. Yes, I was thinking about something about speaking with reps. Oh, I've got it. Not wanting to do an audition. What do you do?
Gabrielle, why would I ever want to not want to do an audition?
This goes right back to what we were talking about at the very beginning of fear and scarcity mindset. Now, the disclaimer here, if you are just starting out, an audition does not break your values or your morals. It doesn't put you in a compromising position that might be too emotional for you, that you'll have to go to therapy for afterwards. It's not with crappy people because they gave you bad vibes. Like, let's use our common sense here. If your gut does not feel like that audition is right for you, you can decline. You can say no. Do you want to make it a habit? Absolutely not. But if for some reason you read the script and there's something in it that you don't care for, get out. Don't do it. I have had a lot of people reach out to me, even from the membership, that have said, hey, this scene requires nudity. I think we had one recently, and I'm not sure, it was from one of our younger actors that graduated college recently. The scene required nudity. She just signed with a great agent and manager that she's got good communication with, and she wasn't sure if she could decline it because she didn't want to do it. So she was saying, like, should I ask them what nudity it is? What if it's this? What if it's that? And that way when you get on set, you're in the clear and they can do whatever they want to do. If you're uncomfortable with that, say no. If your agent or your manager says, well, we really should do this one because it would be good to get out, leave that person because they're not actually respecting your personal boundaries. Now, if you're just saying no because you don't think the role is big enough for you, my request would be, are you at that level to be able to demand that? And are you okay with that project never seeing you again? Because there are projects that I won't do, that I've done 1,000,001 times already, that I do say no to now after having 6 times played a pregnant wife. I don't need any more pregnant wife footage. I have also mentored actors that have done 2 co-stars and now say, I'm not going to audition for co-star anymore. I'm ready for guest star. Now that's an extreme example where I would actually encourage you not to decline co-stars.
You can be ready for guest star and still auditioning for co-stars.
Yes. In fact, 3 of my guest star roles came from originally co-star roles that they beefed up to be recurring guest star roles. So you're shooting yourself in the foot by saying, I'm not going to do co-star auditions anymore, especially with the new way things are. So to wrap that up in a bundle, if it's against your morals, if you have a bad gut feeling about it, maybe you've heard somebody that's worked with that person, you know that they're not good, it's changing your views, it's not how you want to be seen in this industry, you can say no. Even if this is your first year signing with a new agent or manager, and I would even add, maybe give them the reason. So that way they can understand how to see you and how you see your business and not continuously submit you for roles that involve the F word that you don't want to say. Like, that's okay, guys. You can say no.
So our camera died and we're going handheld because we're switching things up a little bit. But continuing on, by the way, if you guys aren't subscribed to the YouTube, One Broke Actress on YouTube is hundreds of videos for you to watch and podcast videos.
Wow, 100.
Hundreds. Yeah, I started a while ago.
I don't think I realized you had hundreds. Wow,
So
hundreds of videos, you guys.
Get the stuff. But the question I had asked you before the camera got too hot was, how would you send an email, or how would you tell an actor to send an email if they were to turn down an audition about, for example, nudity?
Okay, here's how your email would go. Short, sweet, to the point. Also, we want to make sure that we let them know why so that they can know for future auditions. Hey, insert agent's message name here. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. I'm going to turn it down because it involves nudity, and that's just something I'm not comfortable with. I appreciate your submission. We'll get it on the next one and send. You're done. If it's something not as comfortable as being able to say it from nudity, let's say
it's content you don't feel comfortable with, like domestic violence or something like that.
Okay, so that's 2 different ways that you can go. You can choose to let them know, I'm going to pass on this audition because it includes domestic violence content, which is something I'm uncomfortable with doing. Or you can say it includes content that I'm uncomfortable with doing.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go either way. If you don't want to tell them, then that's totally fine.
And it's not, I think we should pass. It is,
I'm going to pass. And notice I didn't say, I'm so sorry at the end of it at all. You can be thankful and also still pass because you are thankful that they sent you the audition. Yeah. And you don't want any more that include those things. I would also love to end this with, if you are now questioning when you want to say no to an audition and you can't think of a reason to give them so that way they know in the future why not to submit you, I would question why you're turning that audition down, because maybe it is one of those more vapid reasons of, well, it's just not big enough for me. So if you do end up finding yourself wanting to say no to an audition but you're not sure how to put it in the right way, maybe figure out if that's what's coming up there.
You should lean into your community more because not to really push home the membership, but this is such a big topic. We talk about like, am I crazy or is this a terrible audition?
Yeah.
Or what do we think about this project? And we just group source. But I'm going to give you one more takeaway because you did so many. This one's going to be a little less of like a tangible, but I really wish someone would have told me that you didn't not book the audition because you went out with your friends the night before and you felt bloated, or because you didn't do the right workouts or something to that effect. I spent so much time early in my career thinking that so much of what I did was so centered around my body. And while yes, it is a visual medium, and so I cannot tell you it is not a factor. The tiny little things that annoy you, like you had chips and salsa and margaritas with your friends and now you feel like you're bloated, that is not going to factor into you booking the job. That is so far out of your control in so many ways. And if I could take that like 10-pound weight of stress off your body for just like a day, I would like to remove it for you, because God, it can take away so much from your audition.
I'm glad you added that note in, because I do not have the same struggles with my body that you have experienced your entire life. And I know that there's somebody that's listening to this right now that was like, oh my God, I was beating myself up all week because I had a donut right before I recorded because I didn't know the audition was going to come in. It was a quick turnaround. And I know that's why I didn't hear back. So
we can't even see the part of your body
right.
that you can't even see your organs.
Right.
Like, what is it? And do you want to be hot bikini girl number 2? Because let me tell you, I've been her, and it was a huge waste of space. Don't turn down the audition if you don't
turn down. Okay, go back to that. Sam hi, insert agent Sam here. I'm not going to do this audition because Sam Valentine said I don't need to be hot girl number 2.
Hot bikini girl number 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we've really rounded out.
We
and
have to have rounded it out because, ladies and gentlemen, it's 108 degrees outside, and this car's AC has been on 1 the entire time. My upper lip is sweating. My pits are sweating.
Hey,
my hoo-ha is probably sweating as well.
Can I just remind you that you wanted to get a convertible?
I did want to get, but the air, the breeze, you know what? We're going to cut the camera.
Breeze! It's
the breeze.
108!
But we're driving 77 miles per hour. There would be a breeze.
There would be no, you wouldn't have the top down on the highway?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
I just wanted an Audrey Hepburn moment. I will
get you it. I will hold a blow dryer in front of you in Joshua Tree in the
Insert
backyard.
footage here, D. I was doing exactly that.
Wait, write that down. Let's get it.
We will write that down because that right there is a video.
Oh my God.
Close us out, Sam.
This episode has interested you in any way of feeling like you don't have people to talk to about these things, and you feel like little minutia in your acting career, I would like to highly invite you to join the waitlist for the membership, because we are so specific with our community and we have so much going on in there in terms of a place. By the way, that's a dust tornado. Have you ever seen one?
I was just, oh my God.
Isn't that cool?
Oh my God. I have never seen a dust tornado in my life, and I just saw it for the first time. That's kind of
cool?
Terrifying.
I didn't want you to get scared if you saw it crossing the highway.
I would have gotten scared. Thank you.
But if you feel like you have no place to have these conversations, that is what we made the membership for. And the Slack is where we talk back and forth all day, so you don't have to open social media to try and connect with people. You can do it in a different place and on your own time and with your own things. And we have so many resources in there to make this job a little bit easier and take some of that heaviness of choice and decision and fatigue of being in it alone off your plate. And there's just no reason that you shouldn't have an active actor community. So
there's no reason you should be trying to do this career alone.
And get more money for it.
Or find somebody to go into business with and make money off of.
Speaking of, we'll talk about
Side Hustle Academy next
Side
time.
Hustle Academy is in the membership.
That's right.
You're actually getting the best possible deal because we are including Side Hustle Academy for anybody who's a TM member. You don't have to pay for it, and it's going to be 5 times as expensive as TM. So why wouldn't you just get 5 months of TM if that's what you want to take and leave with? Like, I don't understand why you would do anything else, but that's fine.
She really doesn't understand it, ladies and gentlemen.
I love a
Get your ass
deal.
on the wait list if you're not already.
Okay, we got to turn on this AC.
Yeah, I'm
Talk
hot.
to you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.